Brit track director here at Dragoncon, so if it's British at the convention, that's me! We're really happy about this panel. Torchwood Miracle Day is an amazing series, so we're looking forward to this panel. I do want to just make a couple announcements. I have two of my staff members. There's one over here, and there's one over there. If you want to line up for questions, you can do so after the announcements of the guests on stage. We ask for no flash photography, please. And if you want to hug or you want to give something to the guests, that we just ask you to do that at the Walk of Fame. Okay? If you have any questions, also if you could comment on the app for this panel so you get the back, that would be great. And visit us at brittrack.org. So thank you for your time, and this is Rob Levy, the moderator of the panel.
Thank you everyone for coming out to the Dragoncon Torchwood Miracle Day panel. I'm going to bring out our guests. I hope that's okay with you guys. First of all, his birthday is this coming Tuesday. Mr. Owen. Next up, the lovely and talented Jane Espenson. And finally, the lovely and talented Mr. John Barrowman. Hi. Thank you guys for coming. This is awesome. Thanks.
It's already awesome. We just got here.
I know, time just really flies. When you're ready, Jane, I'm going to start with you.
I'm ready.
Walk us through kind of your involvement with Miracle Day, how you got involved in the project, and sort of what was your approach going in with it?
It all happened because of Buffy. Russell liked Buffy. We all like Buffy. And Russell had just come over from the UK, and he said, I'd love to, they reached out to me somehow through my agent, I guess, and it was like, Russell and Julie want to have lunch with you. Had lunch with them. They were awesome, and just cool, and fun, and happy, and everything was hooray! And it was like, I'd like people to say hooray.
That's totally Julie.
Yeah, it was both of them. And then, it was like, I don't know, maybe a year went by, and I was at Caprica. Caprica was winding down, and I got a call from my agent who was like, look, I know you said you wanted to take a break after Caprica, so I know you're going to say no, but I have to officially run it by you. It's Torchwood, but I understand you're going to say no, and I had to go like, wait. He literally was hanging up the phone. And I was like, wait, no, Torchwood, yes, I'm in. I don't care that I'm overworked and exhausted and half dead from Caprica. I want to be there. And that's how it happened.
And how much input did you have with Russell? Did you get to tell Russell, like, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and he had to just say, okay? Or was it a collaborative process with you guys on sort of fleshing out where everything was going to go?
Fleshing out the details of how much work I would do for the show, or when we actually got the story.
When you actually got the story.
Actually getting the story, it's you don't tell Russell what you're going to do.
That's why I was going to say, if you got to do that, I was going to say, he's very big. He's very tall.
But it was very collaborative, though. It was a whole writer's room, and it was much more of a writer's room process than I understand happens in the UK, where it sounds like it's done very loosely, and then the writers go off individually and write without always knowing exactly what all the other writers are doing, because everyone's sort of on their own recognizance. Here, it was very much, okay, you were doing exactly, like we kept Russell in the room longer than he wanted to be. We say, okay, we want to make sure as writers that we all know exactly what we're doing. So we kind of nailed him down on that. We forced him to stay longer than he wanted to, so there was that. So when we all went out to write simultaneously, we all knew what the other writers were doing.
Nice. Now, Kai and John, did you guys sort of know before you signed up for Miracle Day that this was going to happen? You maybe going to LA, you maybe doing all this, or did you guys get into the ball game sort of late? Was it a surprise for you?
I got a call from Julie probably about 18 months prior to going over to LA saying, just be aware there's talks of a possibility of doing series 4 of Torchwood. Just bear in mind, keep maybe next summer or so free. and hopefully I'll be back with you with some more news soon. And she didn't get back to me for a long time, so I just thought, well, we'll wait and see. And then finally the call came to say, yes, Torchwood Series 4 is going ahead, and there is a chance that you'll be required to come over to LA. So I didn't quite believe it, but yeah. And then it was all quite fast, because I actually got the call off Julie the day that I went to see John doing this concert in Llandudno in North Wales. That's when Julie phoned me, so maybe about a month or 5 weeks before going out.
I already knew. Because again, Julie and Russell, you get called into those meetings, and and it was exactly the same when I, first got Jack. Julie and Russell asked to see me. I was doing my cabaret at that time in London, and it was the evening of the London bombings. And I continued to do the show, so they came to that, and it was only Julie asking that, Russell, but for when we went to the States, they already had told me, keep it open, keep it booked, because even if we don't go forward with it in the US, we will still be doing it in the UK. But they were trying to find a way to make this collaboration work, and there was talk of either Los Angeles, or there was talk of Vancouver at that time. And, to be honest with you, myself and Eve, had a discussion, and we said we don't really care where it is. It could be Timbuktu as long as it gets made, because we love the show that much. And then, as we were progressing on, Russell, and when, before Kai had got that confirmation, we were, Eve and I were told, and we were also told about the involvement of people who were going to be in writing and stuff, and we had, again, some phantasms go on, and how exciting was that, and we knew that it was going to be something completely new and different, so it was a really exciting process.
Russell phoned me just before Christmas as well. I had a lovely voicemail message, and whenever you get a
hello, darling, how are you?
It was a tea,
tea.
Just to basically say welcome on board. He basically told me we just cast Mackay Pfeiffer today, so hooray! It was, so it was hooray! Yeah, so from that first call that Julie, you say about 2 months before going out, I was getting updates every weekend. Good God, I was getting excited.
Can you talk a little bit about the casting and how the process went for that?
Yeah, I can, certainly. As written, Rex Matheson was sort of a blonde-haired, blue-eyed golden boy of the organization, and they were casting and casting and casting, and they just couldn't find anyone they wanted. And we sort of, a bunch of us in the room had been saying, like, what if we switched the ethnicities? And eventually it became clear that was going to be the solution to the casting problem. And then all new opportunities, all new options opened up, and we got Mackay, who's fantastic. Yeah, and you sort of, in retrospect, you look back and say, why was this ever conceived any other way? He's so perfect.
And the entire support cast was great. I know you guys were talking about Bill Pullman, getting Bill Pullman was pretty great.
Awesome.
And can you guys sort of talk about, I know you talked about Bill the other day, but sort of the other people he worked with, and you guys probably teased them mercilessly, and just sort of how did they integrate into the Torchwood team?
Well, what was interesting is I say when we came over, myself, Eve, Kai, and if there was other supporting cast that the couple who play Eve's parents, some of them were able to come over, but the kind of core of it was the three of us, Kai and Eve and myself. So we're already a family in that way, and we already have the way that we kind of work on set, and we know each other really well, and to have other people come into it, although it's hard to explain, because there is a certain, and this is just being open about it and honest, there's a certain hierarchy when you go into a show. Like when I'm guesting, when I'm playing this big guest starring role on Arrow, I go in, I know who's number 1, 2, and 3 on the list. They're the leads. And you give them a certain amount of gravitas because they are. But when people would walk on our set, Eve and I would be going, "No, get your movies out! What you doing? Hey!" And they would be looking at us going, "Oh my God!" And in fact, I heard someone comment once, because I was number 1, Eve was number 2, and I heard someone commenting once, and I overheard them, not a guest star, but someone a little farther down. And I said, "If I was number 1, I would never behave that way." be number one.
I always think the first job of number one on the call sheet is creating a happy set, which is what you do.
Well, thank you, and that's something that's something that I take from my dad, who was a businessman, and he used to go into the factory and walk the factory floor every day. And the first thing that I realized when we made Torchwood, going back, that we're in front of the camera and we get all the glory. We come and we do 50, if you put it all together, probably about maybe 15 to 20, 30 minutes of work actually on that particular scene. But the crew, the people who work behind the scenes, the writers, everybody else, they're putting in slogging, huge hours. And they're the ones that really need the respect. So after we finish every night, I would go and say goodnight directly to the cameraman, say goodnight to the ADs, say goodnight to everybody, and let them know that you appreciate, because they got to stay on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yes, I'm glad that came across. But
Yeah.
we did have some fun.
I actually think the job you do at number one on the call sheet is very similar to what Nathan Fillion did on Firefly, which makes me think, why aren't you guys in a thing together? We got it.
If I was in the show Nathan Fillion and Jane Espenson was fighting for it, that would be awesome! Now listen, I have to say something, and I've been with Torchwood since the beginning, and when it was first talked about to give Captain Jack his own show from Doctor Who, and with Russell and Julie, and having all those meetings, and I just have to say that one of I've loved a lot of writers that have written for us, but you in particular, I'm gonna give you a fan gush here, okay? So get ready. But for you in particular, knowing that the history that you have with the sci-fi world, and also that you're a true lover of it yourself, the way in which Jane writes, it's very important for writers to understand who the people are playing the characters, because what makes it interesting, I think, for you guys to watch, and particularly when I watch a show, I want to see a bit of that person's personality put into the character. It makes it more believable and more truthful. And Jane is one of those people who actually watches you, listens to you, and it makes it a dream for us when she puts the words on the page. Russell's exactly the same, because once they learn how your flow is, the kind of things that you say, the rhythm in which you speak, it makes dialogue so much easier to learn. And also, you get to the heart of the person and to the character, I think, much better. So it is an absolute pleasure to work and to bring your work to life on television. And if somebody said to me that you're going to play a tiny weenie part, maybe not so tiny weenie, on a Jane Espenson, I would do it at the drop of a hat. I loved working with you.
Thank you so much.
I totally agree with John. Jane even wrote in a Welsh accent for me. It's amazing.
What makes it possible is knowing when you're writing for performers like this, where you know they're going to be able to do anything. You can write anything. You take all the restrictions off of it. Well, what can this actor do? If you know the actor can do anything, then you can really write what you know what they'd say.
I remember there was one particular scene I was doing it. I cannot remember the name of the board. It was underneath Angela's bed. Do you remember what? It was. Does anyone remember? That was keeping him alive. He was suspending his life. But I had this big, huge speech that I was doing, and God love them, but they love to give these huge speeches to me. and I said no, but when you're filming long hours, getting them in your head sometimes is very difficult, particularly if you're filming in small confined spaces. So I was doing this speech, and I remember I was having trouble with one section, and I tried to do things with movement. So it's like a dance and it's choreography. So I touch her, I know I'm speaking at that time. When I lift that cup and I pour, I know what I'm saying at that time. And there was one point I just kept flipping over something. You came up to me and I was on my knees and I was stressing out. And she came up behind me and she went, "Don't worry, it is beautiful." I was like, "That's fine." I can do it now. It's like the hand of God just went, "You are blessed."
Remember your inner, the moment that you remember that it's beautiful. I think that's good advice. I'm sure it was beautiful.
So the thing I loved about Miracle Day Jane was the fact that like you managed to make all the Torchwood team bring out these completely new dimensions in their characters that none of us saw coming, and then you brought all these new characters that had just as much depth and range, and the whole thing just managed to seamlessly come together. And I still have no idea how the hell it happened, but it's one of those things that like TV moments that just never happens when you get a large panorama of characters that are that well written and dynamic. How much sort of pre-thought did you have to do with Jack and Reese to sort of say, where can I take these characters that they haven't gone before? Or did it just sort of come out naturally in how they evolved as you wrote it?
That's really Russell. I mean, Russell is the brain behind this, the big throbbing brain, and it's very clear on who these people are, what's buried in the depths of their souls that you've never seen before. And sure, as I was writing them, if I would sort of go like, this is the color I like best from Reese, this emotional color, I might lean toward it, but it's really Russell who says yes or no. And Russell sent us back to do more rewrites than I've ever done on a show. So he'd be turning in, literally, this is draft 9. So at that point, you've gotten the note, go deeper, tell me more about them, find something I didn't know about them. You've gotten that note now 8 times. So you're down subterranean looking for stuff in Reese's soul, and of course you're going to find new stuff.
Mm-hmm. And you guys as actors got to film it all day. What was that experience like for taking the Torchwood, which you're very used to having a very Cardiff Central show, and taking that to this huge palette that is Los Angeles?
Awesome. It really was. It was, I remember filming in one of the evenings. It was one of the first nights I worked, and I was filming with Alexa Havens, and we were down in downtown Los Angeles. And in the background, one of the buildings had smoke pouring out of it like it had been blown up because Jack and she had just jumped out of a window into a pond. We were drenched, soaking wet. And I remember Russell coming up to me at one point going, "Isn't this marvelous? Captain Jack in downtown LA, woo!" And then the fire department showed up around the corner because they thought the building was actually on fire. And we created havoc downtown. It was amazing because, as I've said before, and some of you who have been in the other panels, the fact that that it was being made again. Like I said, it could have been made anywhere. We just wanted it to be done. We loved the show. We loved what it was about. And and it's going back to Jane and the saying, she's saying about the colors and the finding out about the characters. Having my sister and I just finishing the Torchwood novel again. Russell, we had to put everything to Russell. And Russell again would come back and say, "No, you can't have this person doing that because they're living in such and such." And we had to put, you'd have to take a character out we wanted to involve because he still has a plan. He has a story, if it's to go forward. Russell's got it all in his head, and he wants to make sure that all the characters are in the right places no matter what is created from the show. Till that point, he's ready to do it again.
Oh my God, that's amazing and wonderful.
Oh, well, that's the assumption I'm making. I'm not sure if it's true. But that's all I can think of if somebody is that in depth with saying, no, this character has to be here at this point, in a book, then that's it.
I certainly remember my first day on the Warner Brothers lot. I hadn't seen Eve for a while, and I turned up and she was in a trailer. John was already on set filming, and I went into Eve's trailer, we screamed, we were like big kids, going, "Oh my God, what the hell's going on?" Then John knocked on the door, and we screamed and screamed. John sort of calmed us down, saying, "Remember, it's our show, you just go in and do it." They're all big fans. And the first scene that you see Gwen and Reese in Miracle Day of Eve waking up in the bed saying she had a dream and it was Torchwood. That's the first thing we shot at Warner Brothers, and I'll never forget it for as long as I live. I loved every second of it. It was like a dream come true, and I cherished every moment of being there. I loved the city, I loved working on it, I loved being at Warner Brothers. It was just incredible, so truly blessed. I loved every second.
There was the rumor going around Warner Brothers when we were filming, but it wasn't a rumor. There was I was in the commissary, is that what they call it? Yeah, getting some lunch, and I heard two grips, camera people work out in the set talk. They were, "Yeah, I hear there's this show down over in studio. We were in stage something. Let's say stage 11. Stage 11. They're in stage 11. It's from Wales. Some show from Wales, and the cast, they're pretty raunchy, I'll tell you. They're working on that. catch when I went, the place is called Wales. Wales.
And they replicated Wales so much. None of my mates believed me that I went over to LA because all of Reese's interior work was actually done in Gwen and Reese's house. They went down studio to Stage 11, wherever it was, and they replicated perfectly, you know, an old Welsh cottage. And especially when Will Thomas and Sharon Morgan came over to play Eve's parents, they're actually Welsh speakers. So I was speaking Welsh to them on the set, Warner Brothers and all the crew. What is that you're speaking? This is Welsh, my friend.
I got Eve to speak some to me on the bus at Comic-Con. Can you speak some Welsh for us?
Yes, I can do some Welsh. Dwi'n cael amser gwych yn Dragoncon. Diolch yn fawr iawn I pawb sydd wedi dod yma penwythnos yma. Dych chi gyd wedi bod yn anhygoel I fi. Mae'n gred cael Jane yma, mae'n gred cael John yma. Gobeithio bod ti wedi cael amser gwych.
Croeso I...
I said, thank you for an amazing weekend at Dragoncon. I've loved it and I'm here today with John and Jane. Thank you.
There's no vowels. Very little vowels in Wales. And my neighbor, every morning when I get up, she tries to teach me, because we have a house in Wales, and I've fallen in love with Wales over the years, but she tries to teach me bits and bobs. It's such a hard language.
I think it sounds like drunken Chaucer.
It's a great description.
That's now the new tourism slogan for Wales.
Come to Wales, drunk and sound like a drunken Chaucer.
But I think there was an idea at one stage to have Gwen and Reese talking in Welsh in Miracle Day. We didn't speak about that, which would be great, because it'd be funny because Eve can't speak Welsh, so it's... she can. Yeah, she can.
I actually wrote that. I wrote it, when you guys were trying to get into the camp on the UK side, and there was the Englishman who was in charge of it, and I was like, what if they started speaking Welsh to each other? It's a code he doesn't understand. I wrote a whole scene which sort of indicated this part will be in Welsh, and it ended up getting cut for time. We just needed it for length, but I was so sad to see that go, because there's something I loved about it's the UK. It's Britain. It's a place we think of the US as having these amazing, strong. Oh, they're just like us. And there's this whole other language, another culture that lives side by side with this sort of blended culture we see all the time. Let's play with that. Let's have there be sort of seeds of this nationalism coming up in the wake of this horrible thing that's happened. It's not really natural. Plus, we just get to hear them speak Welsh.
The lovely aerial shot of after Mackay got a spike from the chest and he was in hospital, and it cuts to Wales. It's a great aerial shot of the Gower, basically, sheep running in the field and that beach. It's a terrific shot to see going from LA straight into the most spot, the lovely coastline in Wales.
Yeah, I love that we have that sort of chilly-looking Welsh beach, and then later on they're on Venice Beach, and we see those two beaches in the same shot.
I love that he commented that we have to pay to get into Wales.
Yeah.
You gotta pay to get into this place!
Mackay on Rossini Beach was the best. The back of the Land Rover.
Where's the craft service? What? This is the tea? Tea? Unbelievable.
I swear, Mackay, he was frozen.
Yeah. I mean, and it wasn't, listen, in Wales, when you're going out at night in town, and it's a December Friday evening, girls are in mini skirts, high heels, and, short sleeve shirts, and so are the men. Not high heels and skirts. But, well, some are. But Mackay came out to the beach, and we all knew what to expect because we worked, for years there. When Mackay came out, that's what I loved about him, just no qualms. But he had like 3, North Face coats on and a duvet, and he had a blanket around him, and he was going, let's get this finished, shoot it, man, let's shoot it, come on! Oh, I miss him.
We met him at the Novotel down in Cardiff Bay. We were all staying there, and we said, we'll go out, we'll take you down to the bay. We took him out on that Sunday night before going to the beach on the thing, and I took him to a pub down the bay called the Eli Jenkins, and it was me, Eve, and Tom Price was there as well, and we had, I brought my pint of Welsh Brains Bitter. He took 2 sips, bless him.
Couldn't touch it. No. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that will knock you flat with a pint.
Mackay is also in the online show I'm doing now called Husbands, and left the suit there. So I had Mekhi Phifer's suit for like 4 months because he didn't ask for it back.
Sell it.
So is there anything with Miracle Day that you guys wish you could have done that you didn't get to do?
Well, that Welsh thing.
I would have to say no, because I'm one of those people, I trust in what the writers are doing. I trust that, people like Jane and Russell and everybody who is involved, they're loving what they do so much. They want it to be right. I trust what the wardrobe people put us in. So I'm there to do what I'm there to do. They're there to do what they're there to do. And I trust that the final product will be what we are all aiming for. And if something has to be cut, then it has to be cut. And it's terrible to see it go, but it's all for the greater good of the show. So I really don't, in my life though, I never regret. Everything was done for that for a reason, but I'm perfectly happy and content with what we produce as a program and I think I love a brilliant piece of sci-fi.
Again, I do agree with John. I mean, people ask me all the time at these events, would you like to see Rhys as part of the Torchwood team? And I always say no, I trust the writers where they're taking Rhys. It's a blessing Rhys is, still alive, still kind of thinking about getting more involved. He's aware of it now, so he always lend a helping hand in these situations. I let them do it whatever, you know what I mean? I was on a beach in City at the back of this, Land Rover that was driven by John with Eve with a bazooka on his shoulder, shooting down a helicopter, If they'd have told me I'd be doing that, in the first episode I did in season 1, never would have believed it. So I trust the writers, let them take Rhys wherever they want to. For as long as they want him, I'll do whatever they want him.
I will say this, that when Russell asks for the first draft of a script, he says, don't worry about budget, just write it how you write it. If it was like you had $1 billion and it's a feature film, just write that version. So the first draft of Immortal Sins, episode 7, you arrive in it, we started at Ellis Island, then you were on the ferry over to the city and we'd see the thing. Then you'd arrive at the city, and remember it's the 4th of July, and you get caught up in a street parade, and that's where you see the fireworks. So now you're in a street parade with 1 million people, all in vintage, we're all dressed, like stuff you couldn't possibly afford. Then, what else happened? There was like more really expensive, we see like a couple months later, and you're like running a shell game on this fancy street with like, all dressed with like fruit stands and guys and things, and you had buddies who were also like low-level con men running in the streets, and you're working your way up through the organization, and you get into like all that stuff was written at one point. It was all cut immediately because there was no way you could afford it. But had we had a feature budget, that would have all been in there. So you can regret that if you like, but you didn't know about it until now.
Didn't know about it, so now I know. Gee, thanks.
How good was Immortal Sins, by the way? It was amazing.
I like that.
I was saying the other day when I was being asked questions in the panel yesterday, the one thing that even though you take that stuff away and that stuff is not there because of budget, sometimes all of that can be answered just with a link between two characters.
That is absolutely right. You didn't need any of it. It would have been pretty eye-candy, but the story was about those two guys, and that story lived in that room, and having it outside and all those other characters around, I think we would have lost the intimacy. I think it was better the way it ended up. So you're right, no regrets.
And we have a whole room full of people that would like to ask questions.
Hey!
So we have people with roaming microphones, so if you have a question, raise your hand and they will find you. And please feel free to ask our panel a question.
You can't turn the lights up a little.
Yeah,
I just want to see people. I like to see faces.
Yeah, there's people moving.
I see dead people. Absolutely. If we end up making more,
We know.
absolutely. Thank you for asking. I'll slip her money later.
She's got the cleavage to slip it in, believe me. No, I did a picture with her. I helped him. I know. She said I could. Go ahead. We can sing and dance and have that consistency through performances for up to a year or more. It's also a challenge to play the darker side, but I have to say, I would never say which one I prefer, because I absolutely love the diversity of my career, but I do enjoy playing a richer type of character. It's fun to be like a Billy Crocker and running around and making people fall in love with you, and making people fall in love. What's also awesome is playing a guy who is dark and who is challenged and troubled and who has a past and a history and is upset with himself and with things around him, and still make people fall in love with him. That is a greater challenge, and it's also thrilling when that happens, because just an example, going back even another series to Children of Earth, after I sacrificed my grandson, and the young gentleman who was playing my grandson, he came up to me and he said, Mr. Barrow, he's known me for a long time, he said, Mr. Barrow, I said, please call me John. And he's like, John, what should I do to make it? He said, a kid asking me what he should do, as an actor, and I said to him, look, just shake. When I start pushing that button, just look right at the camera and just start shaking, and then the blood will trickle down your nose. And I said, people are going to freak out. And they did. I was walking down the street. This is the point I'm trying to make. I walked down the street, and I had people coming up to me and saying, I hate you. But I still love you. Brilliant. Yes.
So I have a question for Kai. I was wondering about the...
We can't hear you.
For the question for
It's a
Kai.
question for Kai.
Shout really loud.
So I have a question for Kai about the character Reese. And at the beginning of the whole Torchwood series, there's sort of a one-dimensional doting boyfriend character, and then by the end, there's this sort of badass in her own right. And I was wondering if that was planned from the beginning, or if that sort of evolved, your character just evolved naturally. You hear me all?
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
natural badassiness.
Yeah.
If you knew how that evolved.
I didn't know what was in store now. I auditioned for the role. I knew this series Torchwood was happening. I knew Eve before the series started. And I went into audition for the role of, kind of a semi-regular Welsh bloke, basically, likes his food and beer, so quite easy, really. I got the part. Like, fantastic with the part. I auditioned with scenes from episode 1, and then I went to the read-through in Cardiff, and I had a little chat with Richard Stokes, the producer, and I said, so what's in store for Reese? I said myself, coming back a few times, we don't know. That was his honest answer, we don't know. You've got a few episodes this series, we really don't know where the character's going. That's okay, no problem at all, I'm grateful to be involved anyway. Then Eve took me to one side, and she, had a couple of glasses of wine at this stage kind of thing, and said to me, listen, we've got to make these characters work. We've got to make people fall in love with Gwen and Reese. We've got to make them real. We've got to make them this. We've got to do this. And we tried our best to, and as the series 1 went on, I was getting more and more involved, and then they were going to kill him off. They were going to kill Reese off season 1. He was definitely going. He did get killed. Yeah. But then they made the decision to bring him back to life. Fair play. So, and then yesterday at my audio panel, I commented on the episode Meet, where Reese finds out about Torchwood. And Russell today said the first thing they decided for the second season of Torchwood was that Reese must find out about this, what's going on. And then it's just gone from strength to strength. I've been really blessed. And then Children of Earth, incredible that he's still around. And then Miracle Day, the more he's got involved, the more emotion has been involved, and the more brave he became, the more respect he has for the other Torchwood team, the more love he has for Gwen. He's married, he's got his wife. Yeah, just great writing again.
And he starts to back Jack up.
Yeah, he does. That's amazing. Miracle Day.
Unless you're writing Game of Thrones, you can't know everything about where the characters are going. You have to find them along the way.
Yeah. Just basically, as John said previously, whatever's written will do, and Reese had more and more and more to do, so I'm totally grateful. I love it.
Thank you.
Yes.
First off, a whole bunch of people were
wondering when you guys were going to do Walk of Fame.
After this.
After this.
All right. There'll be a lot of people there to see you next.
Good.
Second, my question is for all of you. What do you think is the difference between the relationship of Jack and Gwen and recent Gwen?
Well, completely different. Recent, do you mind if...
Oh, no, you know.
Recent Gwen are in a love of a sexual husband and wife relationship and a family. Jack is in more of an admiration love for Gwen and also he's learning from her, and that's why she is there. I always put it out that Jack is brain and bronze, and Gwen's character, Eve's character Gwen, started out as the heart, and she becomes from Jack brain and heart, and she's also teaching Jack about the heart. But Jack is having trouble with that, and he always has her there. He would do anything for her. He would also, as you learn, he'd kill her if he had to. And she'd kill him. if both of them overstepped the boundaries, and that was even I loved playing that scene. I'm tied up in the back of the car, and she's driving, and we basically, for the first time ever, tell each other exactly how we feel about each other. And and I think if I can remember, vaguely, Jack actually looks at her and says, I would rip your head off. If you tried to end my life, I will kill you. And she turns and says the same thing. You harm my family, I'll kill you. So, and from that point on, much easier to get along with. But, they got along fine. But you know what I mean? So it's a very different kind of love, but the love is there.
Yeah, Reese adores every inch of Gwen, and he also understands now that she has to go off and save the world. He was very fed up when, as it was written, Captain Jack Bollocks turned up in the first episode. But by episode 9, he says, you've got to go. Away you go then to Shanghai and save the world, my darling. I'll be here. And he kind of knows that Jack will look after her. You know what I mean? And they have a lovely, warm, loving relationship. Nothing would please Reese more to have her at home with Anwen in their house, cooking a chili, watching a movie. But he also accepts now this crazy world that she's there with, and Reese doesn't mind getting involved in because he thinks the sooner I'm involved, maybe the sooner she'll come home to me. So an extra pair of hands is always handy. So yeah.
Definitely.
And a word for shout out to Anwen. That baby. I hope that baby is somewhere out playing a baby in something great right now, because that was a great baby.
The big view of Eve walking down the corridor.
I know, the baby was laughing. You could not have got a baby to do that if you even tried. Go back and look at that sequence when she's blasting down the hallway. The baby's in her arms going,
Baby Anwen played by 2 twin boys actually called Oliver and Marcel.
They were awesome.
Yeah, they were lovely.
I didn't know that was good boys.
Yeah.
They deserve some sort of award for playing one baby girl. I mean, that's kind of good.
They'll be acting next to his Dragoncon, guaranteed.
Yes. We can't. You can hear it, but we can't up here with the fallback. Go ahead.
Okay, can I just start off by saying, thank you, Samantha, I love you. Yes.
Might have been for him. But I just say thank you anyway.
Long-time Torchwood fan, and I was wondering, everyone knows the 21st century is when everything changes. Are we going to touch that at all in the new series of Torchwood?
We don't know if there is a new series. We probably, it's one of those things with, with British television and also with the collaboration with Stars and the BBC. It's never been said, no, it's not happening. It's never been said, yes, it's happening. So I look at it in the state, I like to think we're in a limbo. And as Julie said to me at a meeting I had with her in Los Angeles, she said it's the type of thing, as always with Torchwood, it can come back. It can come back in 2 years. It can come back in a very different form, but it may not, so we just have to wait and see. So, but I don't know, who knows what we'll touch on. If I had my way, I would take the book that we've written and I'd have Jane work it into a movie gay sex scenes.
I just think that's my job.
God love you for it.
My question was, for all of you up there, other than another season of Torchwood, what projects would you love to do if you had choice of anything